Why Joe Biden's first campaign for president collapsed after just 3 months? Well, I don't know about that one. That was in 2019. Ms. Patel further indicated she plans to arrive in the U.S. 2 weeks prior to the election and stay in Washington, D.C. for a few days afterwards. Not happy about this. They're trying to take out Elon, and now they're trying to take out Trump. And thus, she has accepted a prohibited foreign national contribution, foreign election influence. But it's not Putin, it's Patel. President Trump files a complaint against the UK. They were sending diplomats or somebody into the United States to interfere in our election. And so Emilio Casalicchio over from Politico in London is reporting this. He says the Trump-Vance campaign has filed a Federal Election Commission FEC complaint against Harris Walls and the Labour Party of the UK for illegal foreign campaign contributions and interference in our elections. I thought it was the Russians, but it's the British. Here is the formal complaint from the president's team, courtesy of the Dillon Law Group. You see, the author of this letter is Gary Lakowski, Deputy General Counsel for Donald Trump for President, 2024. So this letter was sent over to Lisa Stevenson, the lawyer for the FEC, the Federal Election Committee. They say, all right, Miss Stevenson, election person, when representatives of the British government previously sought to go door to door in America, it did not end well for them. This is gonna be spicy. They say this past week marked the 243rd anniversary of the surrender of British forces at Yorktown, a military victory that ensured the United States would be politically independent of Great Britain. It appears that the Labour Party and the Harris campaign have forgotten the message that America is free. Now, I write on behalf of Donald Trump for president to request an immediate investigation into blatant foreign interference in the 2024 presidential election in the form of apparent illegal foreign national contributions made by the Labour Party of the UK and accepted by Kamala for president, the principal campaign committee of Kamala Harris. So here's the background, FEC. The Washington Post reports, quote, strategists linked to Britain's Labour Party have been offering advice to Kamala Harris about how to earn back disaffected voters and run a winning campaign from the center left. Now, the Telegraph came in and added more detail to these statements, reporting that Morgan McSweeney, the Prime Minister's Chief of Staff, and Matthew Doyle, Director of Communications, attended the convention in Chicago and met with Harris and her campaign team, giving them free advice from the Prime Minister's office. And Deborah Mattinson, Sir Keir's Director of Strategy, also went to Washington in September to brief Harris and her campaign on Labor's election-winning approach. Do they rig elections over there too, or is it just putting people in jail for online posts? Now, in the wake of these strategic meetings, the Harris campaign has been following in the footsteps of Joseph Biden by generously borrowing language and themes from prominent Labour Party officials. The Harris campaign appears to be mirroring much of Starmer's language. This is a block quote from a Time article. Why Joe Biden's first campaign for president collapsed after just 3 months? Well, I don't know about that one. That was in 2019. Now, here's where this continues. It says, the Harris campaign is borrowing and mirroring language. The Labour Party attacked conservatives with slogans like stop the chaos and turn the page and we're not going back and it's time to turn the page. Exactly what they sound like here. Now, in addition, just this past week, this Brit, Sophia Patel, the head of operations for the Labour Party, stated in a now apparently deleted post on LinkedIn, she nuked it when she's like, oh, probably illegal. Here's a news article from WJLA.com. British Labour Party sending staff to campaign for Harris in U.S. swing states. Retrieved October 17, 2024, WJLA.com. So she deleted it. Here's what she says. Head of operations at the Labour Party. I have nearly 100 Labour Party staff, current and former, going to the U.S. in the next few weeks, heading to North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. I have 10 spots available for anyone available to head to the battleground state of North Carolina. We will sort your housing. We'll pay for you. Email me, laborforkamala@gmail.com if you're interested. Thanks. Well, hopefully the FBI is investigating that for election interference, that email. Got a subpoena for Google to turn over all those documents so we can see who else they're communicating with. Now, the Telegraph reports that Ms. Patel further emailed Labor staff on August 2nd and asked if anyone would be willing to travel to the U.S. to, quote, help our friends across the pond elect their first female president. We don't don't want your help. And let's show those Yanks how to win elections. Oh, I'm throwing all my tea out immediately. Ms. Patel further indicated she plans to arrive in the U.S. 2 weeks prior to the election and stay in Washington, D.C. for a few days afterwards. Not happy about this. They're trying to take out Elon, and now they're trying to take out Trump. The Telegraph further reported labor activists who want to help with the Harris campaign have been told that they'll need to pay for their own flights and car, but that Democrat volunteers would provide accommodation, foreign collusion, and that any staff intending to travel are expected to book annual leave for the duration of their trip. Now, this is obviously egregious. Trump's defense continues. They say, as Justice Kavanaugh, one of our Supreme Court judges who they smeared, as he wrote while serving as a judge when he was at the D.C. Circuit, Judge Kavanaugh said, the Supreme Court has drawn a fairly clear line. The government may exclude foreign citizens from activities intimately related to the process of democratic self-government. Now, foreign nationals are prohibited from directly or indirectly making a contribution or donation of money or thing of value, or to make an express or implied promise to make a contribution or donation in connection with an election. U.S. candidates like Kamala may not solicit, accept, or receive that stuff either. And the term foreign national, it includes both individuals who are not citizens of the United States or residents, and it includes people who are from foreign political parties like them. Now, in addition, under commission regulations, FEC, a foreign national shall not direct, dictate, control, or participate in the decision-making process with regard to election activities. And that's exactly what she was doing. Now, while the commission has previously determined that the volunteer exemption allows foreign nationals to volunteer in U.S. elections, they may not be compensated, foreign nationals may not make expenditures, and they may not direct or control activities of U.S. campaigns. Now, in this case, Trump's defense says, there is sufficient evidence to support a reason to believe a finding that the British Labour Party made and the Harris campaign accepted illegal foreign national contributions. Trump got impeached for an alleged phone call that wasn't even bad. They have an entire, and I know it's the UK and we just, well, whatever. No, it's still election interference. Aren't laws laws? No one's above the law. Sorry, British folks. MER 735, Merrick Garland's coming for you guys. MER 7035, the Australian Labour Party, is particularly illustrative. So this is another case. In that matter, the Australian Labour Party established an international program to send delegates to engage with progressive, social democratic, and labor parties. The Australians are doing it too! The ALP then contacted Bernie, 2016, remember that joke? The principal campaign committee for then Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders. He agreed to accept several delegates to be placed in the campaign. He's going to take foreign interference in his campaign. Perfect. The Australian delegates, while placed with the committee, they paid for delegates and they gave him a daily stipend, right? So they're doing a compare and contrast. Now, the Australian delegates, they also engaged in hands-on activity while placed with the committee, including encouraging voter attendance, like they were working for him. So Bernie put Australians on his campaign to do work, and they paid for it. Based on these facts, the commission determined that ALP and Bernie, they violated this. Sorry, foreign national prohibition. They assessed each a civil penalty of $14,500. Big whoop. Now, the British Labour Party appears to be following the same model. Miss Patel is the head of operations, and her LinkedIn post indicates that she is speaking as a representative of the party. Now, the language of her post supports a reasonable inference that the Labour Party will finance at least travel and facilitate room and board to send these UK folks into our elections. To wit, Ms. Patel states, we, presumably the Labour Party, will sort your housing, all right? We'll cover your bill. We'll figure out where to store you, where to quarter you in American homes. Ms. Patel also stated that she has 10 spots available. The limited number of spots support a reasonable inference that the Labour Party is financially supporting this effort. After all, if individuals were being asked to volunteer on their own and sort out their own housing, there would be no reason to cap the number of remaining spots. The 10 spot suggests scarcity, which says that there's an expenditure of resources, right? Like we have a budget. We can send 10 more people, so get on board. Press reports further support a reasonable inference that Harris and Kamala is aware of these efforts, and thus she has accepted a prohibited foreign national contribution, foreign election influence. But it's not Putin. It's Patel. As the Washington Post story indicates, there are close ties between the Harris campaign and the Labor Party. It strains credulity that the Labor Party would deploy 100 people, and the UK, I guess, is paying for this, like that from your guys' taxes, to assist the Harris campaign without the campaign's knowledge. Now, it is true that the Telegraph article suggests, they say that these are activists, that they're volunteers responsible for their own travel and board. However, the Telegraph article also draws a distinction between labor activists and staff, creating ambiguity as to whether these conditions also apply to paid staff. Now, in addition, these claims are unattributed in the Telegraph article, while LinkedIn posts and emails support a contrary inference. So listen to what the Telegraph says. Patel said it right there. It's on LinkedIn. Anonymous, self-serving statements from government bureaucrats do not overcome what they've already said. There's a clear public record that an investigation is necessary and appropriate. And so, moreover, even if the individuals traveling to the United States were volunteers, as you say, the Labor Party is using party resources, including paid staff time, to coordinate their travel. And next, there is reason to believe that foreign nationals from the UK are exercising direction and control over elements of Harris's campaign. Foreign collusion. It's not Iran, the British. The Washington Post story suggests that the Labor Party officials are closely advising Harris. The similarity in messaging between Harris and the Labor Party supports a reasonable inference that this advice is influenced the campaign and the resource allocation as well. So in conclusion, President Trump's defense team, Deputy General Counsel Gary Lakowski, he says in conclusion, those searching for foreign interference in our elections need to look no further than Ms. Patel's LinkedIn post. The interference is occurring in plain sight, happening right now. Ms. Patel's posts and press reporting surrounding the relationship between Harris and the Labor Party creates a reasonable inference that the Labor Party has made and the Harris campaign has accepted illegal foreign national contributions. And so to protect our democracy, ours, from illegal foreign influence, it is imperative that the Federal Election Commission open up a case, find reason to believe, and to investigate this matter immediately. Signed by Gary Lakowski, declaring under penalty of perjury that the foregoing is true and correct, notarized and sent in to the FEC.